everyone. So I thought I'd film a video for you now all about body image, since I've never really been okay with the way that I look. I don't know, I've never really sort of felt that it's a horrible, horrible thing to have to go through, because I was a chubby kid, and then I was a chubby-ish teenager, and I was just sort of constantly obsessed with the way I would look, particularly with my weight and my height. And I'm 5'6". I'm not actually 5'7", as I said in one video before. I just believed that I was 5'7". Before I had this disproven to me by some means. But yeah, I've always been incredibly conscious of the way I look. I've been incredibly conscious of the fact that I have a huge nose. I mean, look at that thing. Lovely, isn't it? That sort of Lois Griffin nose. And I've got an odd-shaped mouth, I know that much. And I just look at, and like bug eyes as well. I look like Steve Buscemi's ball bag. But, and then I've gone through phases of thinking, like, actually no, am I happy with the way I look? Do I look good or not? Am I good looking or not? I don't know. And really, like, when it comes down to this stuff, I don't think I could give a fuck. And I don't think I've been able to give a fuck for a while about it, but then again, no, also, and in my private life, my private time, I do look in the mirror and I do sort of inspect how I look. And I heard somewhere that we suffer from this delusion that we're about 10% better looking than we actually are. And I've been trying to like needle away at that delusion and sort of find out to what extent I actually am attractive or good looking or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, I don't think I am. And would I rather be good looking or not good looking? I'd rather look the way I look, I think. I don't think like I'd ever entertain the idea of getting plastic surgery or something like that. I'd never do that. And I think I'm happy with... It's an odd one, because I don't want people to think that, because I look a little bit strange possibly, that I'm like a sinister person, or that because I might, I don't know, look a bit sinister or go around with a frown or a scowl on my face because I'm afraid of other people judging me on the basis of my looks. And people do that, by the way. And it's like one of the major black marks on our society. Well, it is fascism. You know, face. It's all got the same root, hasn't it? In Latin or whatever. It's, you know, judging people by appearances. Fascism. So, and it's something I've made a point of never doing to other people, and really never also judging them too harshly by their actions and their words either, but or judging them more by their words and their actions than by how they look. And it's I fucking hate like body fascism and like this constant obsession with good looks, and that like everyone must be good looking. You know, I mean, I think of women that I've fallen in love with, and a lot of them have been very good looking. But then again, I mean, I love like one person who wasn't all that good looking. I'm not going to say who they are because that's mean. But yeah. But like loving, but then I do have that on a level. It's never mind. Oh, yeah. True beauty comes from within, I think, and that's like the basic message of this video. And yeah, people get judged harshly on the basis of their looks. I don't know. I think it's possible to have a sort of a charming, yet somehow strange, bizarre look, and that each person's look is sort of well, typical to them, really, but not necessarily a bad thing. And I have no idea where I'm going with this. I shouldn't have said that bit about one person who I love being ugly. They're not ugly at all. That's the fucked up bit. Not even physically. But I'm not physically attracted to them. That's the bad thing about it. Well, actually, I suppose in certain sexual scenarios that I can think of, I would be. To do with bondage and so on. So maybe. And this particular person would make rather an effective dominatrix. I think. Bloomin' heck. I'd never thought of it. I've honestly never thought about it. But then again, I mean, the person I'm thinking of actually, dominatrix, that has to be her niche. She has to become one. It doesn't suit a hell of a lot of women, and actually finding a dominatrix type, a type who can be a real dom, is rather unusual. They've sort of got like a half goth look. I can't put this online now. Or can I? And I'll have to receive my punishment. Then again, I'm fuck ugly. By my own admission, aren't I? Aren't I though? I look strange. And also as a comedian, I've spent a lot of my time having to contort my face into, like, the face of Ken. And doing, like, grotesque, horrible gurning for Ken. I do sort of character comedy, that's the thing. Ken, he's a retired maths teacher. And I sniff all the time. So I've got an enlarged proboscis that traps huge amounts of dust. And it most certainly has nothing to do with drugs, as one certain physics professor, Phil Moriarty of Nottingham University, once suggested to me in an email. Fuck you for that, Phil Moriarty. Fuck yourself, you cunt. Good looking Irish cunt. Yeah, never mind. In life, you get the people who are good looking, yeah. And then you get the people who are a bit funny looking. Like yours truly. And, the good looking, they get together and, form couples and all this sort of thing. And the miserable and the ugly either find someone like them. Or they find someone beautiful who can sort of add beauty to their horrible, ugly little lives. Or they don't. Unfortunately, and really, really unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who they're not good looking at all, and they're aware of it, and it makes them depressed, and that depression acts as anathema to any sort of physical contact between them and a woman happening, and they live their lives like that, and they go through their entire lives lonely, depressed, miserable, ugly, and unfulfilled and unhappy and ashamed of themselves or how they look. And yeah, and that is their life. Very, very unfortunately, I think, for a lot of people. Sad. But and the good looking don't have this problem. They go through their life because they're good looking, women go like to them. And vice versa, if they're a woman, men go like to them. And yeah, they're fine at finding men. Unless, I've heard this also, unless they're a very, very attractive woman, in which case they don't get hit on all that much. Because men don't really go for them because they see them as unattainable. So it's sort of like really tall, really beautiful girls. They sort of they float around with their less good-looking mates, who are also pretty good-looking. But men sort of go for their mates and not the really tall, stunning one. And maybe it's the same, but it's not the same thing for men, because we have to be on the pursuit all the time. Because we're like the predatory, and women are the prey, aren't they? That's how it works between men and women. So we've got to go find them, convince them to have sex with us. And so if you're a really tall, good-looking man, you're always at an advantage. So it's unfair. Also, for the person who I was talking about, and if she's watching this, I reckon she knows who she is. I'm really sorry about calling you ugly. I didn't actually mean it, and every time I said you were beautiful, I did mean that you were beautiful. And maybe... Alright, if I'm single by the time I'm 30, do you want to get married to me? I don't know. Yeah, it'd be a fine union, I reckon. Actually, then again, I might not like the idea of marriage, nor the idea of children. So, I don't know really what to do about that. Long-term partners? That time we had sex, I did not enjoy it. I know you claim to, but I don't see how you could have done. But, yeah, I mean, looks is all about attitude, isn't it, anyway? It's not about how you look. How you look is kind of peripheral to how you act. Because I know of, like, tall, good-looking guys who, and I'm bisexual, I'm pretty certain, I find totally unattractive because of, like, their attitude and their demeanour and how they carry themselves. And their, like, horrible, like, oh, look at me, look how good-looking I am, yeah. I think you're gross. Like, you need to build some character. And that, I think, is actually a trait more of the ugly, isn't it? Like, more of, like, the not good looking. You know what I mean? Like, among men, you've got about, I reckon, 15% of men, in Britain anyway, who are good looking men. And then you've got the rest of us. And you've got men all shapes and sizes and all podgy and all spotty and, like, fucked up in one way or another. And you got the lucky ones who are in the 15%. And... or fat, or too thin. Or like one person I know from school who looks like Gollum. And he knows who he is. But yeah, I'm thinking of, like, my friends at school. I knew one good looking guy. And he's, yeah, I mean, a beautiful man. Beautiful inside and out, in fact. And he's a doctor now. And I can't think of anyone else in the sort of Hemmons back common room who I was friends with who really was good looking. One other one sort of was, I suppose. And then all the alphas and the jocks in the front common room. Or like the backs of work kitchen area, where we all did our prep and so on. Then the jocks in the front. Lots of those were good looking, but I wasn't mates with any of them. Except one. Sort of. Yeah. And it's an odd distinction, isn't it, really? Because it is all about perspective. Because even Steve Buscemi, who, let's face it, is a bit of an unfortunate looking man. He's kind of funny looking, isn't he? To quote Fargo. Just sort of funny looking in a general sort of way. It's just, you know, there'll still be women who are into him and into his look. And they'll think every time they go watch a movie with Steve Buscemi, they're like, oh, it's that guy, that creepy looking little dude, I love him. I love the way he looks. Yeah, oh yeah. Because, you know, women sort of, like, I reckon they admire men in that sort of way as well. Like, there's the Brad Pitts who everyone, or like most women, adore. But then you get sort of like freaky women who are into a guy who looks a bit funny looking and creepy. So, it's not, you know, a case of, I think you're cursed by how you look. I think the way that you look needn't define. Judge man not by the way that he look, but by the content of his character. Yeah. Which is obviously a derivative of a Martin Luther King quote. Judge man not by the colour of his skin. Yeah, fair enough, of course. But I think that can be better expanded into judge man not by how he looketh, but by the content of his character, which also covers skin colour, let's face it. So, Martin Luther King, great, but I think I just one-upped him, didn't I? Yeah, I did, I think. Oh. Now I'm going to smoke, which is another reason I don't have a girlfriend, other than how I look. And judging people not by how they look, that also covers height, remember that. And that's become very popular in recent years. Or has it always been popular? I imagine it's always been popular. Sort of deriding the short. Yeah. And there's this short man syndrome. Yeah, it's a little bit, because it's annoying. As a short person, to be discriminated against for something you can't change. So, it's... Yeah, judge not by how you look. I will, like, make one little adjustment to this, though. There are also, in addition to... Like, there's fat people, granted. And I don't think being fat necessarily detracts from being good looking. Because, like, I'm not talking about fat people, I'm talking about the morbidly obese. And likewise with incredibly skinny women, like size zeros and so on, that's not attractive at all. So any extremes in terms of weight, I'd have said, like, you fall into... Because you just look unhealthy. Because I knew this one guy who knows who he is. That sort of, a fat bloke, but he's a rugby player. And so he's got some jockness on his side, and he's tubby, because he needs to be like a prop or something. That's good looking, I think. Or it's a good look to have. But, yeah, like, no morbid obesity. Bit of fatness. Yeah, that's okay. But mostly what I find attractive or unattractive in people is the contents of their character. And I had this revelation, I think, once with a young woman I fell in love with, because I'm the sort of person who falls head over heels in love with people, like that. And once I'm in love with someone, I'm in love with them, and it sort of doesn't go away. But, yeah, there's this one sort of beautiful black-haired girl at university who knows who she is. And I fell in love with her straight away. And then she said something about sort of the accents from people around where I live, like the West Country. She said, "Oh, I hate that accent." I was like, haha, I hate you then. So I sort of loved her and hated her at the same time. And I think I hate her because she's smarmy. So there, I said it. She's smarmy. She's a poor character. She was doing like the pouty lip thing whenever she thought she made a really intelligent point. That if you scratch the surface of it just a little bit, was nowhere near as intelligent as she thought it was. Imagine one of those like, pity eyes. But yeah, So this is my little diatribe all about body image and not judging one by how one looks. Did it warrant smoking a pipe? Probably, let's face it. But the pipe is too cumbersome an object, I think, for a video of most lengths, because I have to like light it and so on. And I could edit all these together properly, but I frankly can't be bothered. So thank you everyone for watching. I'm so sorry about all the things I've said in this, I really am. Except to the black-haired girl who knows who she is. And, not the one who'd make a good dominatrix. Actually, the black-haired girl at UEA, who would also make a very, very good dominatrix. But I don't like her. That's the problem. Or do I like her? I think she spiked me once on a staircase. Or spiked me to get me to try and fall down a staircase. And she fell asleep during Miller's Crossing when I showed it to her. Which means she's probably not worth my time. Because, you know, how can you really delineate film and literature? Oh, literature's that which was written down. Yeah, but the screenplay was also written down and probably published somewhere. So, yeah. Fuck. I fucking hate people. Sometimes. But yeah, like, when I judge someone, I judge them on the basis of their interior. And if there's something lovable and cool about you, and particularly if you have a sense of humour, if you lack one of those, we're not going to get very far. That's the thing. As friends. Because I have a caustic sense of humour. And like and like if you cross me, I will lavish scorn upon you. I'll heap scorn upon you. That's the thing. In public. I'll set out to publicly ruin you. If I possibly can. And I've had to do that to a couple of people. I've since redacted it, but I might put it back out there because I'm not so certain how much I regret all that stuff, frankly. And yeah, I think that's roughly where I am at with life. Oh, I hate the fact that I laugh like Ricky Gervais. I've actually had this laugh and that sort of Ricky Gervais-ish smile since I was 11 at least, before I even knew who he was really. And so people were making that comparison about me back then. So I don't know what I can do about it.